I know we're a little bit behind. All right, good evening, everybody. I am so excited for this Zoom tonight. We have my dear friend Sarah on, and I can't wait for y'all to hear her story and just learn a little bit about her journey. She's been in longer than I have, and so I'm going to let her just kind of share a little bit about how she found this business, how she got started, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. And as Erin said, my name is Sarah O'Connell, and I'm an ambassador Diamond with It Works. And y'all, I have been with It Works for about 11 and a half years. So you can pop in the chat how long you've been with us. I love getting to see all of that with you guys, whether you're brand new or you've been here for a long time. It's kind of crazy because I remember when I started, I always said, like, I remember things were going really quick when I first started. I'm like, oh, this is so good while it lasts. It's so good while it lasts. And like, you just don't understand what you truly signed up for. And now I've been doing this business longer than I was working at the hospital as a nurse, which is kind of crazy because that is when I found this business. So, a little bit about my story. I was working as a charge nurse on night shift, and truly, I absolutely love being a nurse and I loved what I was doing. I had worked my way up to the top very quickly and at a young age. But I will tell you that I think I had been back to work for maybe about a month after having our first son. And I just realized things changed, right? I remember I was home and I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody kept asking me, are you stressed? And I'm in this postpartum stage and I'm like, no, I love it. Like I have my full day. I'm not working nights. I'm not having to try to like swap my sleep around or anything like that. And while I was home, I remember telling my husband, I'm like, okay, remember when I said I wanted to keep working even when we had kids? I was like, can I take it back? And then I just told him, like jokingly, I was like, you know what? I am no longer going to pick up extra shifts because that is something that I did all the way and all the time, honestly, because we were always short staffed. And truly, you guys, that's how I would make our extra income. And so we didn't have credit card debt and we could pay cash for our tickets to go see our family. But really, after that, I went back to work and I was like, I'm not working extra anymore. So we're going to have to figure out how we're going to find that extra. And a month in back to work, literally, I found this business on social media. I saw a friend posting about it. And I'm like, what the heck? It was one of my close friends. I'm like, you didn't even message me that you're doing something. And so I finally popped in her inbox and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you up to? She lived in a completely different state. So go ahead and drop a one if you also saw this on social media, because I think we need to understand how powerful sharing and getting loud on social media is, because you can reach so many more people than just the people that you get to see on a daily basis. So I jumped into this business. Truly, I didn't ask a lot of questions. I was like, you know what? I just want to know what I'm able to make, and I want to know how to make my $99 right back. I bought the $99 kit and we kind of just got started. And so my first probably 3 months in, I went diamond. And then my fourth month, I went double diamond. And you guys, honestly, I want to tell you one thing. When I started this business, I didn't even have like Instagram. TikTok wasn't even a thing. Like I'm old. I know I'm aging myself right now. But Facebook, I think I did get it in college, but I probably had three total posts on it. Like I was the person that would log in and just randomly catch up with my friends and like peace out off the thing. So when I started, like, I want you to know there were probably a bajillion reasons why I could have like said like, girl, this ain't for you. Like you don't have experience. You're not on social media. And really I only needed one to actually go for it. And that was that I was done working away from home and I wanted to be able to make that income, but in my house and with my babies on my lap. And so I got going and it kind of blew my mind right out of the gates. And so I'm going to say, I remember I was quickly on my way to triple diamond. And then y'all, I had my double diamond just go MIA, like just gone. And just kind of stop talking. And you hit those little road bumps along the way. And I remember though, you guys, and I'm going to share this because we're coming up on this season right now, right? And we have a lot of money that's on the table. But I remember this, that here I was about to go triple, and all of a sudden I like got stuck at double, and then my double wasn't there, and I was back to diamond, and we were going into December. And I was like, you have those moments in your business and you're like, well, is this it? Or like, what am I doing? And honestly, you guys, nobody had experience like with that, with my people that I was with. Like no one had had this happen. So I was like the one lonely soldier over here. But I'm going to tell you that as I've been in this for a long time, you will hit bumps at some point. But what I want to tell you is I remember sitting there and it was Christmas time. And I thought to myself, you know what? You need to be done with your pity party. Like you got to say yes to so much more with your family during the holiday season. You still haven't picked up a single extra shift. You have the only memories you have for this holiday season are the ones you created. It's not on your credit cards. It's not any of these things. You're still saving money. You're saving for your house. Like you're still getting to do all these things, even though I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. And so, you guys, I went to conference, and this is about, what is this? 10 months into my business, I went to my first conference. And it changed everything for me. Like I found the people, they're like, yes, you will have bumps and that does not define you. You are going to grow through them. You are going to come out 10 times stronger. And I remember I left conference and I had quite a bit of team that actually did go with us. And we stayed with complete strangers, like literally strangers in my room, not strangers, right? Like we know each other through social media, but I did laugh. I'm like, this does kind of sound crazy that we all fly to an area and we don't even like truly know each other. But here we are spending the night together, right? And so it was one of the best trips of all time. Like it completely changed my business. I realized how much longevity was in this business. And I was like, girl, you need to dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and you're going to keep going. And so they had announced bonuses, like we have bonuses right now, right? And I knew, I was like, you know what? You might not get those, but guess what? You can get the other ones that are going to be announced. And so, you guys, I worked my butt off. And so, my longest stretch, my hardest jump, some of you maybe can relate to this, and maybe your jump is a little bit different than mine, but my hardest jump was from double to triple diamond. And I'm going to tell you, every ounce of work that I put in during that time was a complete game changer. I went triple diamond. It was actually a month that they were changing out our system, like our back e-suite. So we couldn't see our tree viewer and we couldn't see any of the stuff. So we literally were like on text. We were saying what people were ordering. We counted the BV ourselves. Like we had nowhere to look for it. And we still did it because you know what? Our team had worked so many months to get there. And we were like, we are not changing our goal. Like we are doing it during this month. And we did it. And you guys, it was one of the best promotions. And you know what? There wasn't a bonus attached to it. The next month bonuses came out. I will never forget that. People were like, are you so mad you didn't wait? I'm like, no, are you kidding me? I'm finally like over the hump, right? And so we just kept going. 4 months later, I went presidential diamond. And you guys, it's crazy. Even though double to triple was my hardest stretch, it was truly probably where I was growing as a leader. Like I was digging my feet down. I was learning how to truly mentor people. And so it was a growing stage for myself, but I also got to welcome people in to grow alongside me. And we built so much momentum that my presidential was like one of my easiest promotions to go for. And then a year later, I went ambassador diamond. So during that time, I always like to share this, but you guys, I didn't start this business because I didn't love what I was doing. I truly started it because I wanted an extra income. I wanted multiple streams of income. My dad was always on me about that. I grew up with the dad who had multiple streams of income, and he's like, it will just change your life because it brings you choices. When one thing might not be going right, this one might be on the high. And so I worked full time all the way up to ambassador. So I want you to think about that. I know a lot of people, and when I'm bringing people in and helping people, they're like, oh, but I work. And I'm like, no, that's not a bad thing. Like it brings you around more people. And so I worked all the way up till then. And then as things changed at the hospital, what I did is I was able to back down. So I backed down slowly, one shift at a time. And as my kids got busier, you know, it was called for me to be home a little bit more so I could be busting them all over the place. And I was able to do that without even thinking twice. It was like, and I always say this, I'm like, whether you need this or not, right at this second, build it. Just build it. Because I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times over 11 and a half years, my husband and I both are whispering to ourselves, like, thank God for it works. Thank God for it works. Like when the unknowns are like coming up, or, you know, you're like, oh, we got to replace tires, or, oh, you need to go replace this, or something else comes up. It's like, I always thought to myself, thank God for it works, because I could build this anywhere, and like in the pickup lines, I could build it at hockey practices. I could do it with a baby in my hand or while I'm feeding them or whatever it is. It is just pure freaking gold. So that is a little bit about my story. I did finally come home and I am home full time and I've done this now full time for a really long time. But I did want to share that I did work full time all the way up through it because I feel like sometimes you think that that's going to stop you, but it really doesn't. I think it actually helps most people, to be honest with you.
I love it. And so now she's got three baby, or they're not even babies, but big and grown and all the things. And it's crazy. But so talk a little bit, because I know you said, really focusing on your mentorship and onboarding people. And so talk a little bit about how you've been in for 11 years. Like, what are things that you're doing to onboard your newbies now, to help, kind of pull some of those things that you've learned and then also gear it to what we do, because obviously the business has changed so much over time.
Yeah. And you guys, honestly, it is always evolving. And it's so funny because we were just like, we didn't even have Zoom when we started, right? We didn't have Zoom. We didn't have boards. And I know you guys, some of you that are new here, you're like gasping, like, what did you do without those things? And truly, like, we hopped on the calls. Like, we had a Monday money call like we do now, right? But you get to actually see people. We hopped on a call and like listened to people. And honestly, you guys, it was still just as amazing as it is now. And I will say, like, there is one thing that I try really hard with, and it is keeping things super simple. And I do that because even though you have all the options, it doesn't mean you have to take them all, right? Like, I know coming in, people are overwhelmed. They're like, can I do this? Like, I was that person. I was skeptical, and so when we're doing that, let me answer one question first. While going from double to triple, here's one thing that changed for me. Like, I knew I had to do something different, and it wasn't that people weren't being led right. I just we needed to be like closer knit. And so what I started doing, instead of counting on the people above me to host things or to post things or to hop on training, you guys, we would hop on what was called, like, it's kind of like this, but it was called like Google Hangout or something like that. And I would grab my little bits of pieces. So I would grab like certain legs that were working together, and we would hone in on exactly what was needed in that leg, like where they were, whether it was like, were they ruby going emerald, were they emerald going diamond, and we would come together and we would like make game plan. We would make sure all their questions were answered. We would make sure, you guys, we would make sure everybody had their maps. Like, I still have all of this stuff. This is not my old stuff, but this is still how I build my business. Like, I don't know, you guys, if you are not mapping, I don't know how you can guide people. Like, I sit there and say that all the time. I'm like, I know how to teach people how to monetize their enrollments the biggest and the most, because I have their map. I know exactly what their business looks like. And so I learned to do that for my people. And we would go over that and we would say, like, this is why you're going to do this. This is how you earn, different bonuses. So for us, it could be match it bonuses. It could be helping them as they're working through that, or whatever. If they're in their quick start period, right, they can be earning their perks member bonuses, whatever it is now. It was different back then, but I would bring them and I would bring them in. And then honestly, you guys, it was texting. It was constantly being in communication with them. But really what made me go forward was, instead of waiting on people to offer this stuff, I started offering it alongside of them, or I was the first one to start offering it. Like, I got uncomfortable. You guys, I'm not a shy person. Like, I'm a social person, but when it comes to presenting things, like, that's not my jam. Like, I want to talk to you face to face, like be belly to belly, that type of thing. So hopping on a Zoom or doing a training, like, that was super uncomfortable for me, but I started doing it anyways. And you know what? I want you to know that even though you have amazing mentors in this business, your people who join you want to hear from you. Like, they really do. So even if you can be like the sponge and soak it up and then go spew it out back to them so they can hear it from you, that is going to help you so much in building your leadership skills. So you're not putting a lot of pressure on yourself to know everything. But guess what? You're showing up. you're getting the information, and you are literally sending it back down to your people, and they get to hear it from you. You are literally just duplicating it. That's all you're doing. But it will make such a difference for your people. You're leading them. They start following your lead. Your leaders start growing. They start building their own teams, but now they know exactly how to do it. And the thing is if you can teach yourself how to do those things, guess what? You can teach the people below you to do the exact same things. So that is how I did. That is how I worked on building my leadership. I really pushed myself to start offering the things. I'm like, you guys, I'm sure you think of things all the time, right? Like I always say this to my team. I'm like, you know what? I get that I'm like up here, but it doesn't mean I know everything. Like I don't know every algorithm change. Like no one slips like a post-it note to me and says, hey, you have this amazing team. Like, do you know the algorithm changed over here on Instagram? I'm like, hey, we're all blazing the trail together. Okay. And so I always tell them too, I'm like, this is not my team page. This is ours. Like if you have something that's working, I want you to get loud. Like I want to hear from you. Your people want to hear from you. And so I want you to know if you come up with an idea, like you can put it forward, or if you need it, like, okay, it was somebody, but start putting yourself out there. Like you guys know just as much and can figure out just as much as we can, right? Like it might just be a difference of actually putting ourselves out there or a commitment level, but truly like we're learning on the fly through a lot of this stuff, just like you guys are. And I say that even with products, right? Like new products will come out. No one trained me prior to the training that you guys get. Like no one's like, Sarah, we are going to make you an expert on this. But instead, what I do is I show up, I get the info, I read the info that's coming in, I get the new product, I start using it so I can tell people what it smells like, what it feels like, all the different things. And that is truly what brought me probably from double to triple, but honestly has kept me. Once I win the presidential ambassador, I never have ever lost it. And so, and that's not to say like, oh, hard things don't happen or things don't shift around, but I just say that because honestly, it is truly what I needed in that moment. It was like a big blessing. And they always say this right on our Zoom. They're like, don't trust a leader without a limp. Y'all, it's true. It's true. Like we go through hard things too. Nobody just gets lucky. And that's why, you see people as you're on or at events and you're like, these people already know each other and they're so happy for each other. We know what it takes to do the things. Like I love seeing that because I'm like, that takes hard work. I know that, and I know it takes getting out of your comfort zone. So that is where I really pushed myself when growing my leadership. And honestly, I still do so many of the same things, even now, even as an ambassador, even 11 and a half years in. And then to answer your question, Erin, about like onboarding, again, you guys, that is always changing. We've done so many different things, but I'm going to tell you what we've come back to. We have come back to using the things that corporate is offering us so that everybody is on the same page and nobody's guessing this or that. If you have not been in the It Works app and watched the actual training videos, you should. You should. Okay. And I say this for maybe the people, I'm going to talk to people who feel a little overwhelmed. Okay. And you're like, well, I just don't know, or you second guess, or maybe you lack a little confidence. They know. So use what they are putting out there. So we are using the videos that are in there already. And then we are teaching our 4 core actions, which is what we're doing, right? So we're posting, which is sharing and putting your open sign on social media. So that's either posts, stories. Obviously, you have different ways, reels you can share, growing your network. Huge, huge, huge. Like I tell people all the time, and I wish this was something I knew. It's not that I had a large following on Facebook at all. I just think I just kind of started sharing. You guys, I was kind of ballsy because I was just like, I don't want to lose money. Like I was like, I will move my feet. Like my fear made me move my feet. Like I was like, you are not losing money. My husband's like, you can start it, but don't lose money. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not losing money. So we teach them that. We teach them how to grow their network right off the bat, because honestly, I also think that was something that had me stall around Double Diamond, because I was like, a lot of those people that I'd gone to high school with, or that I had worked with, or that I had known from different areas, like I had reached them, but I wasn't growing my network and I didn't know how to even do that. And so I had to learn that. So we teach them how to grow their network on whatever social media platform they're on. Obviously, messaging, you guys, you got to message. Like there is money in the message. So whatever you're doing, I teach my team this all the time. I'm like, if it's stories, if it's reels, if it is posts, whatever it is, your goal is to get them in your messenger. That is where you want them. You're going to pull them in, and then you can move them to text or wherever it is that you want. Those are probably my top two forms of communication. So we teach them how to message and we help them with messaging. You guys, I tell my new people, some people might be like, this is hand holding, whatever. It works at the end of the day, but I tell them, I'm like, I want to have every single conversation with you for your first 8 customers. That's what I tell them. For your first 8 customers, I am going to help you. I'm going to answer these questions. So really, I want you to think as you put out this info, like they are going to come and have a conversation with me. And while you bring that back to them, you're going to learn the products. You're going to learn how to have these conversations with confidence. And then we also have our boards, obviously, that they can start referring to from there. But I give people a number of like, hey, this is where we're going to work together super, super close. And then I want you to start kind of taking some of it on your own, right? So we work through messaging and then obviously interacting because I always say like whatever you want coming into you, you have to be putting out there. So those are kind of how we onboard ours. We also do have like a potential distributor page, which helps bring in some of the, like if people want to use that as a resource when they're brand new and they're like, I don't know what to say. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Like bring them here and we have some videos that just talk about it works. The different ways to make money. One of the videos addresses like objections that people have and fears, just so that the way they know, like, we're not here because we felt equipped to be here. We're here because we were taking a chance just like you were because we were ready for more. And so that's kind of how we do our onboarding.
I love it. I love it. Well, and it's funny because you're the second person, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember who we had, but literally talking about the corporate videos. And that's literally how I got started was watch these videos. This is what you're going to do. And then you'll make your list of people. So I absolutely love that. How are you going out and finding either new potentials or signing your new distributors? Like, how are you adding to your potentials list every day now that you've been in for so long? You know, a lot of times that's the one thing that people are like, I'm talking to the same people. How have you continued to grow your network and have new potentials that you're adding to your list?
You guys, I'm still kind of old school. Here's the thing, and it's crazy because I know some of the gals that have been here for a while, they can attest to this. Like sometimes we're doing stuff that's working and then something new comes out and it's like we just switch. But like if you have something that's working, keep doing that. Don't switch, okay? Like if you want to add in, that's cool. But like don't switch if it's working. But so you guys, I will go through on posts, whether it's on Facebook or it is on Instagram, and I will add new followers or I will friend through friends, like on Facebook or even in groups. Like I'm in groups, just things that I'm interested in, right? Like home decor, styling. There's like a nurse group. There's just like there's a hockey moms group. Like there's different things. Even in those, I will pipe in. Like I'll see them kind of come through my feed. And it's funny because a lot of times I'm like, oh, I could like mention this, and you can easily just scroll by, right? Now, when you're in this business, I'm like, make it a point to stop and make a comment because you have no idea where that comment's going to go. So you can definitely add from those kind of groups. You have people that have have a common interest, which I think is great because that just opens the gate for them to start having conversations with you anyways. One thing I want to tell you is you're going to see, and I'm sure you already know this, but like there's an 80-20 rule. And I always tell people this, like you want to share the things that you always used to share even before it works. Like it works can be 20% of it. Okay. That can be business, that can be products or whatever it is. But I like that because I can get into people's inboxes. So I will go through and message even on stories. And you guys, it's crazy that as you start doing that, you're already in their inbox just because I commented on a story. How much like you get in their inbox first, how much it opens communication, either on my posts, on my stories, or whatever it is. So I bring in a lot of my enrollments through my stories. I spend a lot of time in my stories. You'll see that I talk a lot in my stories. Another way though also is you guys, I upgrade my perks members a lot. So if somebody is ordering like I don't even do like, oh, it has to be 80 BV. Like if they're close to it or they're interested in 3 products, I'm going to answer their questions, but I will always ask them before I get their link set up for them. I will always ask them like, hey, I'm not sure if you've ever thought of this or you would be interested in something like this, but would you be interested in being able to use your products at discount, but also being able to share them, share your discount, and be able to make 5 extra paydays a month? Like, is that something that interests you at all? And as soon as they say yes, then I kind of switch over and I let them know exactly what being a distributor is all about. So I will get my customers from those Perks member conversations. So I'll kind of bring them in through a product post or stories or different things like that. But as soon as they're like coming in with a bigger order that would commission qualify them, that should be like your like little light that goes off to be like, you know what? I'm going to ask one simple question and ask if they would be interested in this. Because really at the end of the day, if you're not asking, like you're gonna miss a lot of people. Like I came off an ask. Like somebody, I was that girl that was gonna order greens, fat fighters, and then a product that we don't have anymore. But it was new you. And literally she was like, you would be commission qualified. Like, would you like to be able to make extra money? And like I told you guys, like I was like, I don't know where we're gonna make our extra money because I'm not working extra anymore. And all of a sudden here she was like, do you want to make extra money from home? I'm like, yes. Yes, I do. And so that's what got me started. And you have to think that to yourself. Like, I want you to think, and I tell my team this too. I'm like, what brought you into this business? Was it somebody asking you? Was it a host to post? And then you shared a host to post and your like host to post took off? Was it stories or like whatever brought you in, like hone in on that because your people are going to be just as interested. If it was a host post, go use host post. Like, you know, that works to bring in Perks members and distributors, right? If it was somebody popping in your inbox, be bold and like pop in people's inboxes. Like, know what catches your eye and what made you interested. And those are the things that I tell even my new girls. I'm like, I want you to write down 4 products that you saw me share that you were interested in. I want you to think of 3 things that I was talking about over and over about this business that you were like, I want that. And those are the things that I want you to focus on in your first like month, right? Like we're going to get those things down and then you can start expanding as you're hopping on trainings and as you're hopping on different Zooms because you're going to grow just with the rest of us, right? From here on out. So that is probably how I bring in most of my distributors, I would say, is truly from going in people's inboxes and messaging, upgrading my Perks members who are about to order, and people coming in from my stories or reels. I don't do a ton of them. I'm just tapping into TikTok. Some of y'all are really good at it. I'm just kind of tapping into it. So my gold mine is Instagram, but I still, it's crazy because I have my Instagram linked to my Facebook. And even though my Facebook isn't like my #1, you guys, I still bring in a lot from there. Like, so wherever you're working, like make sure you're being smart and you're sharing your content across all the things because you don't know who's over on TikTok. You don't know who's still over on Facebook. So when I make a reel on Instagram, I just push it right over to my Facebook and I share it over there knowing that those things are getting pushed out in the algorithm and are going to bring people to your page.
I love it. I love it. And I know you gave a lot of great tips of like even things back in the day that we used to do that some of, like you were saying, you know, a lot of times these new tips and all these things come in and it can just be like such great reminders, especially about, you know, writing down the couple things that brought you in as a distributor. That was golden. So I know I normally keep these like right at 30 minutes. So one other question that I'm going to ask that I always end our Zooms with, and then if you have anything else that you want to share on your heart, but if you could go back and tell yourself one thing, or one thing that you wish you would have done different, what would be that piece of advice looking back over your journey? What would be that one thing for you?
Oh my gosh.
I should have prepped you for that.
I know. I'm like, oh, that's a loaded question when you've been here for a while. Um, you know, it's kind of crazy, but I'm trying to just think. Like, really, what I want you to know is I think one of the biggest things, and I see this affect people the most, is and it truly affected me too, I think, in the beginning. But like when people quit, you guys, that's not like a reflection of you. I just like you have to know that. I mean, I remember I was like, like, was I not good? Like, did I not help them enough? And really, I've gotten to the point where, again, in my leadership, like, that was something like I really asked myself, like, I'm like, could I have done more? Or could I have done more? Like when people were doing things, or sometimes you guys, I would just boldface ask. Like I was like, what's making you quit? Like you had these big goals, and a lot of times you'll realize that it is not you. But I think that was one of the biggest things is like understanding that when people quit, it is not a reflection of you. And also like some people do go, and that's okay because it makes room for the right people. And I just remember like I just don't have that mindset. Like if I'm going in with something, like I am going in hard and I am like going to do the thing, right? And I'm staying the course, even if things go hard or like things are hard. And I think like I didn't realize that that was part of this business. And I think like I always tell my team, I'm like, that is kind of part of it. Like there are moving pieces with it, but you will also find the right people. So you got to keep going. And really, I think the biggest thing is you guys I have a job that is like a successful job. I was making great money. And I think the biggest thing, and I'm around like just where I live, like there's a lot of people, lots of entrepreneurs, like they make great money. But the thing is, you guys, that is different with this is that it works offers the money, but it also offers the freedom with it. Like you just don't always get both. Like some of the people have the freedom, but then they're short on the finances. Some of them have the finances. Like I'm around moms and they're like, yeah, I make great money, but I miss all this stuff, or whatever it is. Like it works offers you both things. And I don't think I understood the power behind that until I surrounded myself with just all different sorts of people. And I'm like, dang, like we have a freaking golden ticket. Like if you aren't sure why you should get loud, like that's why you should get really loud about this business. And the truth is I want you to know that the last thing I want to share is that your starting point of why you started this business is so powerful. Like it is one of the most powerful pieces of your story at all. It's not earning these massive bonuses. Like, yes, those are going to be amazing and you should still run your butt off for them. But I'm going to tell you, people relate most to you for why you started, where you wanted to go. I share that more than anything else in my It Works business or like my achievements or whatever you want to call it is truly like where I started and why I started and what I was looking for. And that is what brings more people in to me than anything else. It's not like showing certain things or anything like that. So I really, and I wish I would have known that too. I think sometimes you're like, well, I don't really have much to share yet, or I'm like 4 days in and I'm just starting. Yeah, you do. Like, you know why you started. You know why you said yes to this business and you know where you want to go. Like, that is literally what you are going to shout at the rooftops over and over. Because when I started this business, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't have a resume for It Works, right? Like, and you guys, I just told people why I was going for it. And I enrolled a ton of people. And so I like take myself back, right? Like we could make things complicated or I could make it really fancy. And it's like, it just doesn't have to be that. And so I want you to know that, like, just be you, be relatable. Because I think that speaks so much more to the masses, which is exactly who you are talking to, than it does anything else.
Gosh, that was so good. So, so good. Thank you so much for hopping on with us tonight. I know it even just, sparked a few things and good reminders for myself, but I appreciate you taking time out of your night to pour into our team, and y'all go shout her out. Sarah's amazing. Make sure that you're following her, but I will see you soon, probably at conference and all the things that'll be here before we know it. But I just thank you for taking time out, and we will see y'all next Monday. Bye,
Yes.
everyone.
Bye, you guys.